Hey guys, let's talk about packing. All right, so this is everything that I brought on my long-term world travel trip to the Indian Ocean last year. And I'm going to get into the nuts and bolts of what worked well, what didn't work well. And, overall, I recommend everybody get a copy of the book Vagabonding, The Art of Long-Term World Travel by Rolf Potts. It's a fantastic read. It's very short, and it gets into the mind state and philosophy of travel, which is so important and really controls the way that you pack. So what I've done is I've tried to recreate the way that I packed for this last trip, and as I unpack, I'll just talk about the different things. First of all, it's always a good idea to weigh what you're bringing with you. You don't want to bring too much, and so everything you see here, for the most part, was about 30 pounds. 30 pounds is a good weight because it allows you to hike for several miles without getting too bogged down, and sometimes you need to do that when you're getting a little spontaneous. You could cut it down to 20 or 25 pounds if you want to get ultra minimalist, but I think 30 pounds is a good compromise of having some nice things with you, but also not being too heavy. So what we have here is the Tortuga V2. And this is a backpack made by backpackers for backpackers. And there's a couple reasons I went with this on this trip rather than your average hiking backpack with the drawstring. First of all, the drawstring doesn't allow you to lock it, so there's the security issue. Also, when you're reaching down into a hiking backpack, feeling around trying to grab something specific, it's really messy. And it's nice to be able to open the bag and look in it just like a suitcase. So I'll show you what I mean. You have some of these compression straps here that keep the bag consolidated. And we have our main pocket. The main pocket opens up just like a suitcase. Almost everything is accessible and visible at once. So I'll go through the easy access pocket first. As I'll show you later, there's a couple zipper locks that keep the zippers locked and secure if you're worried about that sort of thing. Inside here I have a rain cover. You can see it developed a hole on the trip and I was able to tape it up. This is to represent a small roll of tape that I had on my trip, much smaller than this, but it's the same kind of sturdy Gorilla Tape that is really going to help you for any sort of repairs or if you need to keep a door open or something. Really useful. All right, we got an extra notebook for writing. We have an Alak waterproof bag, really airtight. It's got double seal. And I lost an iPod to a rainstorm in Paraguay once, and I'll never make that same mistake again. So whether you're doing a big bag or you're doing a day pack, you always want to have a bag that's large enough to fit whatever electronics you're carrying with you in case a torrential downpour comes without warning. All right, so that's the easy access pocket. I'll do the side pockets next. Over here, I have a travel speaker. So if you're a music lover like me, you're going to want some sort of speaker, either to listen outside on your own, or to make some friends at a hostel, or play some music, for maybe a family you're staying with. So I got the JBL Flip speaker, and in terms of the specifics, I'll have the description of my packing list pasted below. And this is a good compromise. It's about 5, maybe 4 hours of battery life at full power, and relatively light. You can get speakers, that are heavier and have longer batteries, but it's always a compromise. I got my aux cable here, and I think that's that in that pocket. Over here I have a SteriPen. This is USB charged. This is the new version of SteriPen, and this is your water filter. So rather than the mechanical filters, you have a UV ray, which I could show you if there was some water here. You put the double prongs below the water line, you stir it, and whether you want to do a half liter or a full liter, it's going to sterilize that, kill the bacteria and the viruses within a minute or less. It's kind of a magical invention, and I highly recommend it because carrying water with you is super heavy, and this is great for emergencies, for all those worst case scenarios. It's got a little belt loop as well. All right, we got a small medicine kit, got some condoms just in case. Inside, I decided to put all the objects in a little waterproof Alak bag. So you got some Band-Aids, some antiseptic wipes, whatever small things that you want. I may or may not have added a few hits of LSD as well. Always a good idea to pack well. All right, so in here we have a couple zippered pockets, and I have a tripod for the camera. Now the camera that is filming right now is a Nikon AW130. And on my trip I took a 120, and it's a super rugged camera. It's shockproof, it's waterproof down to 59 feet, and this new version is good till 100 feet, they say. Now the reason I have this new version is because my older 120 broke underwater, and they replaced it for free after some prodding from me. So I do appreciate what they did. Nikon's a great camera. This tripod is good for wrapping around, you know, branches, or basically fitting it into different asymmetrical crevices, and then you can set your camera to a 10-second photo and take a group photo or a selfie or something. So rugged camera's great, fits in your pocket, and you don't need to worry about jostling or water damage. All right, so we got all the charger cords. I decided to use some sunglasses cases. You could use a cable organizer if you want to get really OCD. We got our iPod cable, some twist ties to keep things organized. We got our Thunderbolt, or whatever the heck they call that. Here's our smaller aux cable, just in case the other one breaks. It's super light. We got our iPod. We have our camera battery charger with a little flip prongs there. This is a really useful cable. It's the SD to Lightning, so you're able to put the your photos onto your iPad really quickly. I didn't even use this, but I had an extra USB to outlet charger. And this is my Kindle. All right, we have some other chargers in here. This is for the speaker. Now you can actually detach this and put on some other adapter if you like. I wish that it was automatically a USB charged speaker, but it's not. So that was a little bit of a larger charger cord. Obviously you don't need to bring a speaker with you if you're not like me. And this is the last charging cord. I got a big twist tie, and this is a 10-foot StarTech Lightning charger. And the reason is oftentimes I was using my iPad on the bed and the battery's running low, so I needed it to charge simultaneously. And sometimes the outlets were halfway across the room or on the ceiling. So it helps to have a really long cord. Yep. We got our compression straps here, keeping everything together. And we have a sleeping sack. So I was traveling in warm climates in tropical countries, so I didn't need anything too heavy duty or warm. Sleeping sack gives you a little bit of warmth. If you have a dirty bed, you can still get in here and you're clean. And it's always good to have something to fall back on, especially if you're a guest and you don't want to intrude. You want to have something to sleep in. All right, we got some pockets, small things like a toothbrush, your basic comb. I have my Paddy card for scuba diving, and I have a few extra passport photos in case I have any border issues or need to get a last-minute visa. In here, I have a stain stick. So you only have a couple clothes for many, many months, and you want to keep them clean and stain-free. So you can rub that on, and even if it takes a few days to get the clothing in the wash, this will help get those stains out really easily. If you want to get really minimalist, cut off a chunk of this, put it in a plastic bag, and use that instead. All right, we got a TSA-approved toiletry bag. We got some Banana Boat sunscreen, and we have some Repel bug repellent, sort of like a body odor rubbing stick. Both of these are really useful, and they're within the TSA guidelines so that you're not going to get stopped for carrying fluids. All right, what else do we have? We have a travel mug. This is very sturdy, and I put some boxer briefs in here for storage. I have Ex Officio, different models. Ex Officio is fantastic, very comfortable, and this is good for your filtered water or what have you. Over here, I have sunglasses. When you're in the tropics, you definitely want a good pair of sunglasses. A lot of people worry about losing sunglasses, so if that's you, then you're like my buddy who lost 5 pair on a trip, and you're just going to keep replacing cheap pair. But if you're able to avoid losing them, I recommend getting a nice pair like Native. These are really sturdy. They're easy to clean. You can take the lenses out in case you get some sand in here. I was able to get them at a discount, I think at REI or something. They're fantastic. You got some extra lenses, you got a sunglasses bag in here, and the case is also very sturdy. All right, I have 2 bags. This is for the dirty clothes, this is for the clean clothes, and they're compression sacks, so the air comes out here, and that helps you with storage and smell issues. All right, so clothing, I like to keep it pretty simple. I got some pairs of Smart Wool socks. That's a great brand. I had a pair or 2 of Darn Tough socks. I think mine are in the wash right now. They are made in Vermont. They have a lifetime guarantee, which I find amazing for socks. So it's worth investing in some nicer, more expensive socks if you're going to be traveling for a long time, as well as the boxers. Here's another ex officio. These ones are Uniqlo Air. And also I recently got some MeUndies, and those are great too. So whatever is light and comfortable for you. I got a bathing suit, nothing fancy, just a basic bathing trunks. Handkerchief is good for wiping sweat or cleaning surfaces or just looking like a Boy Scout. And man, I love these shorts. These are Prana stretch shorts. They have pockets of all kinds. They even have a little pull tie here, so you don't even need to wear a belt. And they're extremely comfortable, attractive. These ones actually got a little iron burn in Sri Lanka when the rickshaw driver's wife decided to wash them and then forget the iron was on it. But that's okay. It's part of traveling. I got a Chandali quick dry towel. This is a large size, which means if you need to go from an outdoor bathroom to your bungalow and you need to cross through a crowd of people, this will keep your modesty. And it dries quickly. My one complaint with Chandali is they didn't sew this hook in really well for hanging on the wall. So you might want to sew your own, or there's a couple other brands of quick dry towels that are high quality. I got some used shirts before the trip because I didn't want to spend too much on clothes, and I knew that they would get worn heavy anyway. So a long sleeve shirt keeps your arms free from sunlight, and I don't like to wear sunscreen, so I recommend long sleeve shirts in warm weather. I know that's not groundbreaking to hear. Yeah, just a basic sporty long sleeve shirt. This one is a little bit fancier. This is Ex Officio Bugs Away, and it's permethrin coated, which keeps bugs and mosquitoes, things like that, away from the shirt. And they say it's good for 75 washes before that wears out. So you might not like chemicals on your skin, but I don't like getting bit and getting diseases. So that's another compromise. It's got a lot of pockets. I think it's a fairly attractive long sleeve shirt, if you don't mind looking too much like the Western adventurer. And over here you got long Arc'teryx pants. Arc'teryx is kind of the titan of the sporting goods brands right now. I got these used, so they were much cheaper, and I found a nice neighbor lady to customize them so they fit me well. And I gotta say, after 5 months of heavy use, there's almost no stains, thanks to the stain stick. Almost no rips or holes of any kind. These are very, very lightweight and just fantastic pants all around. And that was the only pair of pants I brought. I did have a shirt wear out during the trip, so I got another one towards the end, and it didn't need to be all that functional. I figured I would have a nice wearable shirt for a nice occasion. So another button up there. I had a short sleeve, just a breathable, sporty shirt with a pocket. And again, I was traveling for 5 months in warm weather, but I knew there would be a handful of days where I would be cold because I was in the highlands of Madagascar or I was in the mountains of Reunion Island. So I needed something that was lightweight because I wouldn't use it very often, but I needed to be warm. So I got Under Armour, which is a pretty good ratio of warmth to weight, and I recommend that. And one other sporty shirt, pretty stretchy. This one is hardware, and I got it used. It's not all that attractive, but very, very functional. All right, what else do we have here? We have a Kelty box. So I like this because it keeps your small items organized. It can take a lot of battering without damaging anything inside. And we have some really useful stuff down here. So we have a Solar 5 charger, and I chose a small version so it was lightweight. You can get larger ones. It takes about 8 hours to charge. It's got a little flashlight here. It tells you how close it is to being fully charged. You got a USB port under here, and under here you have another USB and a micro USB, so you can charge multiple devices at once. If you're going to be away from electricity for over 3 days, I'd say this is a very good call. And the key is you don't want to forget it when you pack up and leave, because this is on some roof nearby. So you always want to remember that. Got some extra boot laces. I never had to use them, but it's always good to be redundant. I have a micro cloth for wiping my sunglasses, for wiping the camera screen, and my other devices that I'll talk about. This is a great headlamp. It fits my head well. It does the red lights, and it's got brighter red and then a couple different bright versions here. It dealt really well with the moisture, and the batteries lasted the entire trip. I did get some extra batteries just in case, and I put them in this case so they'd stay dry. And I got some Malarone, which was the first time I ever took prophylactics. It's very expensive, especially if you have to pay the full price, and you got to get a prescription. But in this case, I was going to Madagascar, where cerebral malaria is a big deal, and I decided this would be something that was worth it. So I did take a pill every day for over 3 months. Some people have liver issues with that. I was fine. I didn't experience any side effects compared to, what else is out there, like Larium and some of the other options that make you sun sensitive. So Malarone was a good option, and it kept me safe. I got some earplugs. These are some of those combination zipper locks that you can put on the bag. And I got a Secchi nail clipper, which I gotta say, as nail clippers go, this is really, really quality. It doesn't have the little stick that cleans under the nails, but it's great to have a good nail clipper. So there you go. And under here, I have an extra camera battery, and I have a USB stick where I have my scanned documents of my passport, my Visa, my credit card, in case I get my wallet stolen. So again, you want to have redundant things that are very, very important. And I gotta say, this is probably one of the most useful things I brought on the trip. This is a Scross Swiss-made adapter and converter. And I went to Dubai, the Maldives, the Seychelles, the Comoro Islands, Reunion Island, Mauritius, and Madagascar all in one trip. These are very different countries, even different continents. And this guy was able to deal with every single outlet design I came across. So you'll see it has 2 USBs here. You can dual charge devices. This unplugs. You got the prongs here. Plugs into this larger one for thicker prongs. And then this guy has all kinds of different combinations right here. So it was not cheap. It was about $50 or $60, but this is going to last me for life. It's not very heavy. It takes up very little space and fits almost any outlet. All right, and then I have some Azithromycin in here. So whatever sort of medicine you want to take with you, you want to keep it in a dry place. All right, there's an easy access pocket. You can also zip up the straps under a piece of fabric down here, so you can keep it more like a strap-free suitcase if you like. And in here you have a little folder pocket. So it's hard to get away with no paperwork. In this case, I wanted to show people what my itinerary was like pretty easily, because you're always getting asked, where are you going, where have you been? So I just said, here's my itinerary for the Indian Ocean. It says how many days I'm going to be at each place. If you're going to have a spontaneous trip, obviously you won't have a map like this. But if you have things fairly planned out, then you can go to stepmap.com. You can create your own little custom map. And for a few bucks, you can print out a high-definition version. So I thought that was kind of neat. All right, so we got some other things in here. I laminated some high-definition scans of my credit cards, of my passport, my Visa, and I also taped some emergency cash in the folder. I had $300 cash, just in case. I never needed to use it, but in case I had been robbed, I would have something to help me out. All right, so that is basically the Tortuga. In here I have a bike lock combination, and this is a bad call. I would not bring this on a future trip. It's relatively heavy, and you know, I thought that I would maybe lock my bag to a post or something if I didn't you know, trust the guest house owners. I actually never used this, so that's a lesson for me. Okay, over here I have some shoes. So I have a pair of Chacos sandals, and I have Oboz Firebrand boots. And I don't like to bring more than 2 pair of shoes. So since these are hiking boots, I want to have a pair of open-toed shoes. Some people like to bring flip-flops, you know, Havaianas or something. But I found the Chacos good because they're also good for hiking. I did have some issues with blisters a few times, but for the most part, these are fantastic shoes. I recommend them pretty highly. I also got a dry bag, which I think is good for some trips. It depends on your itinerary. In this case, I kept my travel hammock in the dry bag, as well as the hammock rainfly and stakes, and then the different straps and carabiners to set up the travel hammock. And this travel hammock had bug net sewn in, so I was able to get in and then zip up the bug net, and the bug net was suspended above the hammock, and then the rainfly above that. And I also got a Hennessy snakeskin, which fits around the hammock so that when you're packing it up, it's kind of like a snake and keeps everything dry. So if you're more interested in travel hammocks, look up Hennessy, and you might consider getting an Eno brand travel hammock or something like that. I'm not going to open this now, but in this case, in the Indian Ocean, the travel hammock did not get a lot of use. If I were traveling in South America or Southeast Asia, I think it would be a much better idea. So there we go. A couple things I had on me. I had my wallet. I took out all the unnecessary cards so that it was thinner, and in case I got robbed, I didn't lose anything that I didn't need to bring with me in the first place. I had my travel card, which was a Chase Sapphire Preferred, so I avoided all the foreign transaction fees. And because I was booking a big bundle of airfare at the beginning, I was able to get a bunch of bonus points when I signed up for the card. So Chase Sapphire is one of the better travel cards. There's a few others out there depending on your spending habits. And I don't normally wear a watch, but you need to have some sort of alarm when you're traveling because you often have to get up at ungodly hours. So this is a basic Casio, nothing special, but it works great. You can hear the alarm, and it's very, very water resistant. So I recommend a cheap watch like that. I also had a camera case. In this case, I didn't really use it because this is a rugged camera, and as long as I wasn't scratching the screen, I didn't need an extra case. So I would not bring this next time. Okay, last but not least, you have your day bag. So you can carry everything at once, but once you're actually in your guest house, then you just want to have a small day pack. And you'll see the problem with this one. I brought an iPad Air 2, and this is a triangular monosling by Victorinox. It's a great bag, but it's not quite big enough for the iPad, which meant that I had to keep it unzipped like that for most of the trip. Obviously, that's not a good idea. I would get a slightly larger bag next time that would fit this completely. But I gotta say, this is a great day bag. It wasn't too bulky, didn't make me look too lame or backpackerish if you're trying to avoid that. Nothing wrong with that. I got some Bose sound canceling earbuds in here. And when my girlfriend showed up to travel with me, she brought headphone splitters, which are fantastic. You can listen to music together. Headphone splitters are light, cheap, and one of those examples of something you want to bring on your trip because the use you will get out of it is so much greater than the space it takes up in your bag. All right. I have an 160 gig iPod with a protective case on it, completely full of music. One of the greatest things to take on a long trip, especially if you load it up with new music before you go. What do we got? We got a passport with extra pages and a protective case around it. That's badass. And I used this little pocket here for my hotel keys, so I wouldn't lose those. Inside here, we have a couple pens. We have a great notebook. This is leather bound. The pages are sturdy. Just all in all, a great travel journal. I filled up the whole thing and then got an extra one. So I recommend getting a really sturdy journal. I got the Kindle Voyage with an origami case. And this is also one of the greatest objects you could take with you traveling. You can see how thin this is. And you can put hundreds of books on here. You can put a lifetime's worth of books. The light is great. This is the first time I've ever had an e-reader, and I don't think I'll ever go back. And the battery life is really insane. And then the last object is the iPad Air 2 with a Belkin keyboard. Now this is a big decision. Do you want to do a long-term trip with a device that connects to the internet, or do you want to be screen-free? And that is really just going to be up to you. It is a big decision. It does change the trip for better and worse. But gosh, I gotta say, the iPad Air 2 is an incredible device. It's got a little thumbprint here for unlocking. And the keyboard is Bluetooth, so you can type as you go. Since I'm a writer, I decided to bring it. This whole thing here is about 2 pounds. So in terms of weight, it's about the best you're ever gonna get in terms of usage. So. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my packing video. I hope you use it, some of those tips at least, and travel the world to learn about it and learn about yourself. All right, thanks.